Welcome back. Today we have a guest speaker. Well, actually, she's not a guest speaker. She's just a guest. She took over my spot. Are you ready to discuss chapter 2 of... I thought it was just me, but it isn't. Making the journey from what will people think to I am enough by Brene Brown. Chapter 2 is full of so many good things. Look at, her name's Penny. Penny loves it. It talks a lot about empathy. But before we talk about empathy, I wanted to review what resilience is. So resilience is the ability to recognize shame when we experience it and move through it in a constructive way that allows us to remain authentic and grow from our experiences. And so why would she dedicate a whole chapter to empathy? Because empathy is the antidote to shame. So what does empathy sound like? Actually, first, let's think about what empathy is not. So when you tell someone you're making a big deal out of nothing, it's fine, don't worry. Those are examples of not empathy. Empathy, on the other hand, sounds like I understand that. That happened to me too. It's okay. I understand what that's like. But real empathy is more than just words. It's being present and engaged while someone tells you their story. So Brene Brown defines empathy as the skill or ability to tap into our own experiences in order to connect with an experience someone is relating to us. So it's the skill or ability to tap into our own experiences in order to connect with an experience someone else is relating to us. And Brene Brown talks about the attributes of empathy. So number 1, to be able to see the world as others see it. 2, non-judgmental. 3, understand another person's feelings. 4, communicate your understanding of that person's feelings. And to me, that is the trickiest part. To really take the time to listen and understand what they're saying. And so that is why empathy is a skill. So like anything, it's something that we can develop with practice. A quote that I love from the book is, "Courage gives us voice and compassion gives us an ear." So courage gives us the power to be able to share our experience, and compassion gives us the power to be able to listen to someone when they are in shame, when they're telling us about shame. And so when someone's telling us about shame, we can either be in it with them, or sometimes we go into needing to change it, fix it, or redirecting the conversation because it seems so uncomfortable for us. And so when we are in compassion, and it's not a relationship between a healer and a wounded person. It's a relationship between equals. That to me just blew my mind. Because I think just conditioning, it's like If you're telling me I'm in shame, then that means I'm better off than you are. But the truth is, we've all had those experiences of shame. And so only when we know our darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. And compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. So what does shared humanity means? To me, it means we know that we're connected. And so when we react to the action of someone else, we react from the heart and not from the brain. And that is one of the most beautiful things. It's that when we can realize that we are all connected, we are all human, we all make mistakes, that brings us closer together. And that's one of the purposes of this book, is teaching us how to make real connections with other people. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you about the book? So, where do we start practicing empathy? According to Brene, and I agree with her, the first place you start is with yourself. And so it goes back to that point I made before about when we know our own darkness, we can relate to the darkness of others. Right? Yeah. I'm in her spot. And then she goes on and talks about the difference between empathy and sympathy. So when we look for empathy, we are looking to see that we're not alone. And when we look for sympathy, it's usually wrapped up in shame. Sympathy is telling us that we have it worse than anyone, that no one can understand. And we're also looking for validation. Oh yes, it's so tough to be in your position. So when we see that someone is looking for sympathy, one of the best ways to react to it is to say, it sounds like you're in a hard place. Tell me more about it. Or, you're right. I don't know what that's like. Help me understand. And one of the biggest barriers for empathy is the pressure to get it right, to say the perfect thing. And for me, I think that has been the biggest obstacle. I've said I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm recovering, I'm not recovered. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so it really does stump me when someone says something that I right away don't or can't think of a similar situation. Then I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I say the right thing. I'm not being too hard. I'm not being too soft. I'm encouraging. Like, am I checking off all the list of all the things of how I should be communicating with this person? And the truth is, when you first start out, you will make mistakes. And that is part of being human. So, there's a little bit more to this chapter, but I think for today, that's pretty much the gist of it. And so to practice is finding how you're more comfortable, finding ways in which you're more comfortable, and then practicing empathy. So either practicing empathy more with your kids, with your partner, and once you feel more comfortable practicing empathy with those people, then you can move on. Or there might be different aspects in which it might be easier for you. So I hope you got some good information from this chapter. And I'll see you next time for chapter 3. Much love.